Good afternoon, graduates, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, and importantly, all the family and friends who are with us today and those that are watching in cyberspace. Welcome to the beautiful Emory campus in this very special day for our graduates. I'm Dr. George Folk, the new director of Emory's Doctor of Physical Therapy program. I'm honored and excited to help lead my first at Emory graduation ceremony for the DPT class of 2023. There are many people that have supported you, graduates, to get to this point. I would like to just take this time to acknowledge them. First, I'd like to thank our amazing faculty who have supported you throughout your time here at Emory. They are the foundation of our program. Their expertise and compassion are what make our program truly special. Thank you, faculty. Next, I'd like to thank our support staff. Without them, I wouldn't know what to say because I wouldn't have this program up here in front of me. But they're the ones that make sure the trains run on time and keep all us faculty and student organized. So thank you for the staff around. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the family and friends of our graduates who are here today. Without their support, you probably would not be here today. So thank you. So most importantly, on behalf of the faculty and staff, I want to congratulate our graduates. It has been a privilege for me to be a very small part of your journey towards becoming a physical therapist. It is unlikely that when you started your journey here at Emory that you could have imagined all that you went through during these past 3 years. The challenges you face with a global pandemic and how our education and healthcare systems had to adapt were unprecedented. However, throughout all these times and these difficulties, you demonstrated courage, flexibility, and grace. And I truly believe that your perseverance and how you navigated these challenging times will make you a better physical therapist. It is today that you commence the next steps on your journey towards becoming a healthcare provider. This is probably exciting and a little bit frightening at the same time. However, the education you garnered at Emory and your own grit have prepared you well as you enter into clinical practice. You possess the foundational knowledge, skills, and attributes to become a successful doctor of physical therapy to serve the patients in our communities. We know you're ready and hope you'll stay in touch and share your accomplishments with us. Congratulations again. It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. David Burke, Professor and Chair of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, to welcome you all on behalf of the entire School of Medicine.
I didn't have to wear glasses when I first did this, so time's marching on. So welcome. And on behalf of the School of Medicine, the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, I want to congratulate the graduates of this year's class and recall, as I do every year, how difficult the journey is. I promised on this day 30 years ago that I would never forget the struggle to achieve the ability to apply and to be accepted, and then to get through the marathon of the trauma of getting through all that is just remarkable. I think you have to have gone through it to really understand. And I think half of my classmates forgot and remember it was kind of a nice experience, they thought, but I think that's just memory wiped out by the trauma. But after 30 years, I still have the dream I know each of you has had. You're there, there's a test today, you didn't know you had it. Sometimes I didn't know I was enrolled in the course. I don't know where the building is, and there's that panic. And then you wake up and wait, I graduated, And so my wife said, you don't have those too much anymore, but I had one a month ago. And so it's always nice to wake up and go, oh, I did it, wow. So anyway, so it truly is some PTSD, I think. But that happened before they invented PTSD, so I can't get any, disability stuff for it. But so as to not to add to your trauma, I will just say a few pieces of advice that people have whispered to me over the years that I think have borne out well. Every day, and this is probably the best piece of advice I got when I was 19 years old working with my fathers, write down one thing that you want to accomplish that day and don't leave until you accomplish it. I put it by my phone. Anybody that knows me knows there's a little scribble by my phone, and I've done that every day for the last 30 plus years. But make sure once a week, one of those things advances you further toward the dream. So you're not just catching up, but you're actually advancing. And I think that little piece can take you for a far distance. Second, you're about to have the biggest raise of your life. You're going from, you can't calculate it because you're going from a negative number to a positive number. And I remember thinking, I am rich, but live below your means. If there's one thing, and now's the time to do it. Just think 80% of whatever, and then invest the rest, save the rest. So, because if you're tight, if you run out of money and it's just life just falls apart. So, yeah. So I think that is a great piece of advice. Next, be like Steve. Steve Wolf, I hate to single him out, but he's on the front row and he's helpless over there. But I was talking to him the other day, and we were talking about another project, and I thought, this is just a little kid. I mean, he is so enthused about a new idea, advancing science, and it truly is just fascinating to him and exciting to him. And he has found what he really loves, and he pursues it. I sat there, and there for a minute I wasn't hearing what he was saying. Sorry, Steve. But wow, this guy's got a gift. And so, but I think that's, you've gone this far to get these credentials. Find a piece of something that really excites you and push that agenda. And finally, today, you've been climbing this mountain for so long and you're at the summit. So celebrate, jump up and down, enjoy, enjoy with the people who helped pull you along. But after you stop jumping up and down, bend down and help the next guy up. I think you're in a position now where you really can make a difference for other people. And I think we'll all be better if you do that. So I will leave it at that. Go out, enjoy. Again, congratulations. And doctors, very good.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Now I'd like to introduce and welcome Emory Board of Trustee, Ms. Cynthia Sanborn.
Good afternoon. I am Cindy Sanborn, a member of the Emory University Board of Trustees and a 1987 graduate of the Emory College of Arts and Sciences. On behalf of the board, I'm very happy to welcome you to the Doctor of Physical Therapy Diploma Ceremony. Students, we congratulate you on your great achievement. We appreciate all you have done and how diligently you have strived to this day, particularly considering the extraordinary and challenging circumstances of the last 3 years. Your resiliency and your determination have brought you to this point. You deserve all the accolades of the day as your friends and family celebrate your achievements. I hope you bask in each and every minute of today and that you take that resiliency and determination with you. Congratulations to the Doctor of Physical Therapy class of 2023.
Thank you, Trustee Sanborn. I'd now like to invite Rabbi Jordan Brownig, the chaplain from Emory University's Office of Spiritual and Religious Life, to offer the invocation.
To everything, there is a season, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, and a time to weep. Today we arrive at a time of celebration. Yet the poet Yehuda Amichai, riffing on these biblical verses, complicates the teaching of Ecclesiastes. He points out that often there is not a separate time for each of our feelings. Rather, we experience joy and sadness in the same moment, at the same time, closeness and distance. From the same eyes, tears of laughter and tears of frustration. So even as we arrive at this time of culmination, we acknowledge the myriad of emotions that we hold. And instead of rushing in and just handing out these diplomas, we stop together for a prayerful moment. Let us take a moment to pause, to take a breath, and to offer our thanks. Holy One, as we reach this milestone moment, we offer gratitude for all the blessings of our life, for a community of learning and friendship, for these individuals, the graduates who prepare to bring more healing into our world. Help them to be present in this moment and to savor it. We offer thanks, God, for the ability to gather together after years of pandemic. What a blessing it is to just be together. In this moment, we also remember those who are not here, those geographically distant, and those who have moved on from this world. Allow us to welcome in their loving presence. They have shaped us. Even in their absence, they are here with us. Bless the family and friends who join us here today. Allow their pride and gladness to spill forth beyond this space, cups overflowing. Give these graduates who dedicated their time and their energy, truly their lives, to the study of physical therapy, the surety and the confidence to do what they have been trained to do. Give them patience in these unsteady times. Give them strength and fortitude so that they can transmit that sense of resilience to those they serve. Whether we are religious or not, let us have faith in humanity's goodness. Let us believe in the possibility of people helping people. Remind us all that we have a role to play in fixing the brokenness of the world. May we each, in our own way, set off in doing the holy work of building a better world. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Jordan. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Bruce Greenfield. We're fortunate here at, we can applaud, sorry. But he's gonna, yeah. One thing that really brought me and helped make the decision for me to come to Emory was the amazing faculty that we have. And we're so fortunate to have real leaders within our profession here at Emory. And so I'd like just to read a few words about Bruce so you can, if you don't know already, some of our students and family and friends here know a little bit about him. So Dr. Bruce Greenfield is a PT, PhD, Fellow of the National Academies of Practice, and Fellow of the American Physical Therapy Association. Is a professor in the Division of Physical Therapy, Department of Rehab Medicine at the School of Medicine at Emory. He holds a certificate in physical therapy, so that tells you a little bit about how long he's been around. A BA degree from Oglethorpe University, a master's in medical science from Emory, a master's in bioethics from Loyola University in Chicago, and a PhD in higher education and educational philosophy from Georgia State. He is a senior fellow in the Emory University Center for Ethics and a chair of the Ethics Grand Rounds Committee at Emory University Hospital. He's also a former chair of the American Physical Therapy Association Ethics and Judicial Committee. So hopefully you don't run into any ethical judicial issues because he'll be on that committee. In his previous professional life, he was a clinical specialist caring for patients with musculoskeletal impairments. During that time, he edited 2 books on rehabilitation of the knee and shoulder, and he's published over 60 articles and book chapters in his career. Based on his contributions to PT, he is recognized as a Catherine Worthingham Fellow of the APTA, the highest association's membership category. He has won several awards and recognitions, including the Dean's Teaching Award, twice won the APTA Academy of Education Stanford Award for the best article published in their journal for that year. He also was recently awarded the Distinguished Educator in Physical Therapy Education from the APTA Education Academy. As I hope you learned from this short introduction, Dr. Greenfield is a nationally recognized physical therapy leader in the field of ethics. He is an exemplar teacher. His scholarships in ethics has shaped the practice of physical therapy in the United States. After over 28 years of service to Emory as a faculty member, Dr. Greenfield will be retiring at the end of this academic year. His thoughtfulness, compassion, and insights will be missed. Please join me in giving Dr. Greenfield a warm welcome.
Yeah, great, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Falk. The thing about getting such a good introduction is the only place I can go now is down. So this better be pretty good, I don't know. I'm going to echo a couple of things that Dr. Falk said and Dr. Burke said. Congratulations, graduates. Or should I say doctors? Should I say colleagues? That's a scary thought. You know, this is a special class because not only did they have to navigate a very challenging curriculum, but they had to do it under the specter of COVID. And when they came in, even the transition to matriculate to Emory, they were dealing with it. And it was unpredictable back 3 years ago. You know, nobody knew who was going to get sick. And it was a very restrictive environment. And these students then showed tremendous resiliency, tremendous determination, and courage. And it was an up and down, but they worked their way through. And here they are now. And so I can speak for everybody in this room, I think, as to how proud we are of you. But most importantly, you should be proud of yourselves, because what you did is a significant accomplishment. I want to give a shout out to the friends and family. Shout out, shout out. I'm going to include you in this. Nobody does this alone. These students didn't do this alone. You had a hand in this. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the English poet John Donne, who was a 17th century poet. And he wrote a line, and you may have heard of this. He wrote, "No man is an island entire of itself." As students, these graduates at times probably felt like an island entire of themselves or itself. And I am confident that your unconditional support, most when they needed it, made them feel less isolated and more connected. And where's our faculty? There they are. The same can be said of our faculty. We have an amazing faculty. They're so talented in what they do, researchers and educators and service. But you know, what really sets our faculty apart is their commitment to caring and for the best interest of the students. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen them go the extra step to make sure the students are safe and to make sure they succeed. So the only thing I can say about this faculty, and I do not use this term lightly. They're good people. They're really good people. I can say that because I'm part of it. No. Only kidding. You can laugh if you want. Okay. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said, "Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward." As I considered what to talk about today, I thought I would take Kierkegaard's maxim and go backwards to share with you a bit of my professional experiences. But most importantly, I want to share with the graduates some lessons I learned along the way. They're perhaps not as profound as they are relevant, practical, and hard-earned. And my hope is maybe you can take some of these lessons along with you as you begin your professional careers, and those lessons provide some wisdom to help your professional journey. Okay, here I go. To begin my story, I graduated from Emory Physical Therapy School. It was a 14-month certificate program. Sorry, guys. Admittedly, though, why was it 14 months? Well, the profession was much different than today. Leslie Portnoy, in her 17th Sarasoli lecture, said that when she attended physical therapy school, and this was in the late 1960s, I'm not that old, physical therapy practice was in a world of prescription and folklore. Now, in 1981, when I went to physical therapy school, I would not characterize our profession strictly in those terms, but certainly the focus on evidence-based practice in our education was not as rigorous, nowhere near as it is today. Unfortunately, some of what we learned was based instead on anecdotal evidence. Furthermore, when I went to PT school in 1981, we tended to look inside and not outside to society. We didn't directly discuss issues of diversity or inclusion, social justice, cultural humility, and other such issues. The program was basic. Using a food analogy, the program was more meat and potatoes than caviar or steak tartare. It's much more sophisticated now. That's the point I was trying to make. After graduating, my first position was at Grady Memorial Hospital, which is an acute care urban hospital. As an aside, I was the first male physical therapist that ever worked at Grady. Yeah. Well, I can tell you the physicians didn't quite know what to make of me, particularly the all-male orthopedic surgeons. They kind of looked at me funny, but it is what it is. Regardless, and this is something I believe in, I have continued to have a strong belief that therapists should work at least a year in acute care to best prepare them for practice, even those who are biting at the bit, like I was, to get into outpatient sports and orthopedics. Who's going to work in acute care? Oh, good. Okay. Well, then I'm done. No. Alas, after 1 year of practice, I returned to Emory to get my Master in Medical Science and Orthopedic PT. At the time, the Master of Medical Science, or the MMSC, was the highest specialty degree offered in our profession. After I received my degree, I joined a private practice working in orthopedic and sports, received my orthopedic specialty, edited 2 books on the knee and shoulder for F.A. Davis, taught continuing education courses around the country, did clinical research. To put it another way, I was in that tight, mostly male-dominated orthopedic and sports clique that existed at the time. So why change? I was cruising along. But you know what? I did change. To be honest, I began to get bored. Routine set in, and worse, a slow drain of passion. The first steps towards cynicism and then burnout. But at the same time, as is sometimes the case, another passion began to emerge. In the early and mid-1980s, insurance remuneration was based on time and services rather than patient outcomes. In effect, we were in the wild west of unfettered insurance payments and making profits by seeing as many patients as possible each day. I kid you not, I recall that at times I would see 25 to 30 patients a day. Remember Marie? Where's Marie? Oh. Forget it. But we worked side by side, and we both were getting ulcers at the same time. When we sold our practice to corporate, we sold our practice to a Fortune 500 company, Stryker Corporation. We were instructed by the corporation, by lawyers, not healthcare professionals, lawyers, that each cost center in our practice would yield a 20% profit margin. Outcomes be damned, at least initially. Well, you can imagine where my values lay, and the quality of treatment suffered immeasurably. And I'm being very honest with you now about my career. As a current ethicist, I can tell you, when I reflect on that time, on my professional career, I shudder regarding my lack of patient-centered care. Somewhere during that time, I came to realize that this treatment model was not sustainable, and furthermore, not what I wanted to be involved in. Basically, I lost my way. I was caring for patients as objects, or what New Zealand physiotherapist David Nichols, founder of the Critical Theory Network, refers to mere body systems, objects, numbers, automatons, cogs in the body healthcare machine, rather than subjects or people with a life world to be explored. Conversely, as subjects to be cared for, Nichols argued that people, rather than the body, becomes the primary source of meaning-making, and physical therapists should adapt their approach to practice, sensing and thinking accordingly. Suffice it to say, the human dimensions of care that we all prize, person-centered care, was not a priority for me in my practice. So with that uneasiness, a new perspective emerged about what it meant to me to be a physical therapist. That sounds formulaic, but it's true. What I became interested in was the quality of care, or the qualitative aspect of care. It wasn't a sudden epiphany, but slowly I began to shift my priorities and interests, wanting to know things about my patients and myself that I was not prepared for in school. Qualitative research, I had no idea, nor did my partners and colleagues. I knew little about ethics at that time, but I knew enough that I was not practicing ethically. I was not practicing ethically. My passion for clinical care was diminishing. To me, passion is like waves in an ocean. It ebbs and it flows. Staying in metaphor, sometimes it rises slowly, but unexpectedly. And when we experience the rise like surfers, it is up to each one of us to catch the wave and ride it to where it takes us. Sometimes the shore is difficult to see, and at times it is difficult to stay on the wave. That is where resiliency, courage, and perseverance pay off. So I quit clinical practice. I was a partner, and I just walked away. But I kept surfing, and I stayed on my wave. Where the wave was taking me, I was not certain. That's how it is sometimes. The path is not clear. Your destination is hazy. It's out there somewhere. You may have an inkling, but not enough of an inkling to continue. Sometimes you just must trust yourself, and that's what I did. So I went into my first love, which was academics. Since I left practice almost 30 years ago, I've attained another master's in bioethics, a PhD in higher education. I became a clinical ethicist and a senior fellow in the Emory University Center for Ethics. Currently, I serve on the Emory University Hospital Ethics Committee. So you guys may be asking yourself, or perhaps you're asking the person sitting next to you, and I'm watching you if you do that. Okay, good, Dr. Greenfield, but what does that have to do with me? I would argue a lot. From my experiences now, I would like to share with you lessons I learned along the way. Some of these lessons I hope that you can take with you as you begin your professional journey. These lessons are not in any order of priority. Lesson 1, as all of you enter your professional careers, you will be making choices. Where you want to work, what is you want to do, how you will do it, with whom you will do it with. Some of you have specific goals, visions, or have a planned trajectory already. I don't know. I did. However, for some, your first professional position may be less than you desired. You may find yourself ruminating much of the time about your next step, often at the expense of patient care. To this I recall the song by Stephen Stills, Love the One You're With. Have you guys heard Stephen Stills? No, I know the older people did. You do? Okay. Love the one you're with. And he wrote, if you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. No, Amy, this has nothing to do with you. Just threw that in. For some, you will be impatient. I believe it is good to have professional goals and ambition. But I also learned that to get where you want to go, you need to learn patience. I had to learn that patience is a virtue. During my young career, I was always looking ahead, planning my next step. In many ways, I was living in the future. Please don't make that mistake. Stay present. Focus on doing the best you can where you are. Trust yourselves. Love the one you're with. People depend on you. Thinking ahead is not always the recipe for success. Even in situations that are not ideal, you can learn, you can develop, you can mature if you are open to that. Often I was thinking ahead, letting my ambition influence my practice. My patience suffered, and that's something I continue to regret to this day. Lesson 2. Find a balance between the art and science of physical therapy. When I was practicing, I became very annoyed when referring physicians sent their protocols for treatment. I thought the physician did not trust my judgment to develop my own individualized treatment plan. At that time, in the 1980s, we were, as a profession, were striving desperately for autonomous practice, and therefore sensitive to being told by another healthcare profession, particularly physicians, what to do. To us, autonomy was no one telling us how to treat our patients, or so we thought. We were misguided. You deserve autonomy. Every one of you have earned the right to autonomy. You are unique in healthcare, and you deserve direct access. But as I've come to understand, autonomous practice does not preclude collaboration, team-based care, and interprofessionalism. In his 43rd Mary McMillan lecture, Alan Jetty said, in reference for a desire for autonomy, quote, I enthusiastically share and support our profession's call for increased access and payment for what we provide. However, that was a vision for the last century, a battle that had to be fought by a profession that was insecure in its adolescence, unsure of its identity or place within society. Such a vision, however, will not serve a more mature profession as it positions itself to meet the storms of the current century. In fact, the American Physical Therapy Association guiding principle for Vision 2022 includes the following, quote, "The physical therapy profession will demonstrate the value of collaboration with other healthcare providers, consumers, community organizations, and other disciplines to solve related challenges that society faces in clinical practice." Unlike my time, current healthcare is moving to a team-based care model, partly due to value-based care models that prioritize quality outcomes per unit dollar, and also due to the complexity of healthcare. What it's appreciated now that not one professional is expert enough to train all aspects of patient care. Now, about protocols. What I failed to understand when I practiced in the 1980s was, according to Alan Jetty again in his 43rd Mary McMillan lecture, that evidence-based or standardization that is evidence-based, doing things the same way every time, can reduce your failures. It involves teamwork, and it involves leadership from the professional organization. That is where you balance art and science of clinical care. Standardization is vital to developing systematic data outcomes that can be compared across practices and populations, healthcare populations. Otherwise, physical therapists will only be guessing about the efficacy of what they are doing. Without such outcome data, insurance companies will continue to undervalue our professional services. And we all want to make more money, and you all deserve more money. The problem is the remuneration from insurance companies remain low. And in my opinion, the only way payment for our services is going to increase if we can prove to insurance companies that what we do is effective and efficacious. You will have to learn how to work in systems and handle large amounts of data. It is not an exaggeration to say that healthcare is undergoing a digital transformation. More of you will have to be able to store and manipulate data and even use computer-machine learning algorithms, which is a type of artificial intelligence to analyze different data sets. If you think that artificial intelligence in rehabilitation is in the future, you would be incorrect. It is being used currently in rehabilitation, in medicine, and in education, and its use will only increase in the future. Does ChatGPT ring a bell? Ding. But regardless of standardization and even the use of machine learning algorithms to make sense of data to predict outcomes and treatment pathways, engaging with others and advanced technologies, you will always, every one of you will always remain the human in the loop. As a physical therapist, imagine a 26-year-old male patient who you are caring for in a hospital intensive care unit. He suffered a spinal cord injury after a motor vehicle accident. And based on certain data, a machine learning algorithm predicted the patient had a 5% probability of independently performing activities requiring lower extremity, walking, climbing stairs, and bladder function in 1 year. So it was a mathematical model that this patient, that was determined by a machine learning algorithm, that this patient had a 5% chance of really walking again. Okay, so that's based on a mathematical model. But remember this, computers cannot judge, they cannot intuit, or they cannot empathize, as of yet at least. So how do you inform the patient of this prediction? What do you say? What do you say if the patient asks you directly, will I ever walk again? Do you pull out the mathematical model? Where does clinical judgment come into play? Furthermore, how does an algorithm address an existential crisis? How do you do what you do when you choose to do it? How you make sense of contextual issues that influence treatment? How you individualize treatment, make modifications, think in action, make judgments, use practical knowledge. So regardless if ultimately the treatment is standardized, you sustain the human element of care. You sustain the art of physical therapy. There will always be a human in the loop system. Lesson 3, we're getting there. My father once told me something that I've been rolling around in my head ever since. I never trust someone who has not gotten his nose bloody a few times, he said. I kind of looked at him quizzically. Well, I learned with time what he meant. Suffice to say that I've used a lot of Kleenex tissues in my professional career to stem my bloody nose. I have made mistakes. I have misjudged. I've gotten my nose bloody. You know what? It hurts. It can be embarrassing. It can be humiliating. And every one of you will make a mistake. I guarantee it. But remember this. It is not necessarily what you did, but what you do next. Repeat, we all fail. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. At first, I tried to suppress my mistakes, cordon them off in some part of my brain, and that was a mistake. I'm not saying to blindly embrace your mistakes, lest the same mistakes occur again, but rather reflect on them, own them, and learn from them. As I told you in class, do you remember? No, you don't even remember my course. Okay. We do not necessarily learn from our experiences, but rather we learn from reflecting on our experiences. Hubris and arrogance are poison to authenticity. They leave one closed to learning, debating issues, having one's beliefs challenged constructively. With failure comes humility. With humility comes wisdom. True humility, according to Pastor Rick Warren, is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. Stay humble. Please stay humble. With humility comes true empathy and intellectual curiosity. And don't be afraid of saying, I don't know, or I need help. You're not exposing your weaknesses, but rather showing your strengths. Fear of showing weakness is poisonous to yourself, your patients, and your colleagues. One thing I had to learn is to reach out to others. Reach out and try to find a professional mentor. I did, and one is sitting there right in the audience, Dr. Stephen Wolf. He's been my professional mentor. I have been a physical therapist for more than 40 years, and I have learned that almost always accomplished professionals are very generous with their time. They want to nurture and share their knowledge with others. Role models are important, almost necessary for professional development. My advice to you is to seek someone who you respect and want to emulate. Remember, someday you guys will be old enough and experienced enough that you will serve as a role model to somebody, a young professional. I'll be dead by then, but it's okay. Lesson 4. The philosopher Socrates, talking about wisdom, is thought to have said, now listen to this carefully, though I do not suppose that either of us knows anything beautiful and good, I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing and he thinks he knows. For he knows nothing and he thinks he knows. I neither know nor I think I know. I neither know or I think I know. True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we know about life, ourselves, and the world around us. Think carefully about things, even things that you think are obvious. They may not be. Take, for example, excellence. Everybody talks about striving for excellence. It's in mission statements. It's in the back of a car bumper. You know, we all strive for excellence. But ask yourself, do we really know what it is? Can I provide a definitive definition of excellence? Maybe, but I doubt it so. Get in the habit of looking below the surface. Do not accept things at first blush. That's a mistake. What seems simple and straightforward is always not so. Seek, unbundle, unravel. It's okay to be a bit skeptical. That's the beginning of wisdom. Lesson 5. I'm biased. I admit it. But you know what? Everybody in this room is biased. There's no getting around the fact. Now, I want to be clear, there's a difference between being biased and being prejudiced. Whereas bias is a natural inclination to an opinion or thought that someone holds about something. Prejudice is irrational hate. I have never met a physical therapist who is prejudiced, at least as far as I discern. So let's put prejudice aside. But you will bring, every one of you, will bring your implicit biases to the clinic. You can't help it, you're human beings. As I indicated, all individuals carry implicit biases based on the political, social, cultural, and generational influences, as well as their experiences or lack of experience. The problem with bias is that it results in making assumptions. We live in a diverse society composed of people of different ethnic, racial backgrounds, different gender and sex identities, different socioeconomic groups, different languages, different levels of education, different physical makeups. In their paper in the Journal of Humanities and Rehabilitation, Luna, Brown, and Dodd argue that words that create negative connotations also reveal the underlying implicit biases towards individuals with disability, such as referring to, quote unquote, a victim of a stroke and, quote unquote, confined to a wheelchair. Ableism is pervasive in our society, believing that people with disabilities have less worth, less value. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. This is true. I recall many times of stereotyping patients. Heavy or obese patients must be lazy. Someone from South Georgia, probably not very smart and educated. Someone from Spanish descent probably exaggerates pain. Workman compensation patients are probably faking an injury to get out of work. And that's how I thought. It's very humbling when you admit that to yourself. It goes without saying that in many instances I was wrong. Slowly, after several instances of making prejudging and faulty assumptions, I learned, rather than focusing on my biases, to bracket them instead. In essence, bracketing is a temporary suspension of one's beliefs, one's biases, one's subjective interpretations that ensures that one's perspective is not obfuscated or distorted through a lens of one's own predispositions or biases. In effect, the process of bracketing requires that we set aside our personal values and belief. We don't eliminate our biases. It's very difficult to eliminate biases, but you can identify what they are and you can set them aside. And then you can focus on the values and beliefs of another. This process requires a commitment of ongoing self-reflection about our own personal and professional values. Part of this self-reflection can take the form of an internal dialogue with oneself, or as mentioned, an external dialogue with colleagues about each other's values and beliefs. Stepping out of one's professional role then depends upon the willingness of the clinician to hold in abeyance his or her own biases about a patient and be willing to listen to the patient's whole story in his or her own voice to allow his or her own life world to reveal itself. As a qualitative researcher, I trained to bracket my own beliefs and biases. It is good practice to discuss your biases with colleagues, bring them to the surface, recognize them when they appear. By practicing bracketing, it is not realistic to eliminate them all, but those biases become background white noise unattended to. Lesson 6, be outward looking. Ruth Bertello argues in her Mary McMillan lecture that physical therapy is in the third season of ethical practice. We are on the season now of social identity. We are partners in society. In fact, society expects it of us. When I practice, we were not very concerned about issues such as health disparities, diversity, equity, and inclusion issues, or community health needs, or serving the underserved. Those issues were simply not on our radar, and that was unfortunate to say the least, but that's changed. Recently, the American Physical Therapy Association Code of Ethics was revised to add an additional principle. We have an ethical obligation, you guys have an ethical obligation to serve society. Principle 8 of the American Physical Therapy Code of Ethics states, physical therapists shall participate to meet the healthcare needs of people locally, nationally, or globally. Now, you may be thinking, this doesn't mean that you go out and have to save the world. That's not what I'm saying. But every little bit helps. Consider providing altruistic care. Consider the health community where a patient lives. In that community, ask yourself, does a patient have access to good nutrition, good areas to exercise, family support, access to medication or health care? Ask yourself, what does society expect from me? Based on my expertise, what can I contribute to population-based health? And one other point, healthcare is political. I think we talked about this. Practice acts, physical therapy practice acts in each state are approved by state legislatures and the governors, not healthcare providers. These politicians can shape the extent and nature of practice in each state. You guys learned dry needling, right? Who learned dry needling? Well, what if I told you that several years ago, there was only a few states that allowed dry needling in its Practice Act? That's changed now because we lobbied for it. But you have this expertise in dry needling, and you go to a state and you're not able to practice it. So currently and thankfully, only 5 states now prohibit physical therapists from practicing dry needling. And I'll tell you a story. We had dry needling in our Georgia State Practice Act. And then within a few months, it got removed. Do you know why? Because the acupuncturists lobbied the state legislature and said we weren't trained to be dry needlers. And they convinced the legislators that was the case, and they removed that from our Practice Act. So another profession, if they lobby heavily enough, can actually get something removed from another profession's Practice Act. Chiropractors done the same thing. They have lobbied in a number of states to put in our Practice Act that we cannot manipulate. And physicians have been very strong in believing that we should have direct access. Well, that's changed now. Strong national and state organizations are imperative to protect your hard-working, earned scope of practice. Do not sit on the sidelines and hope others protect your practice rights. Join the APTA to protect your interests. I urge you to get involved. Finally, I offer this anecdote. My wife Amy, who's sitting right there, next to my door, nothing to do with this, but I thought I'd point it out. She had an appointment with her orthopedic doctor. This is a true story. He was quite busy running in and out of rooms. When he came into my wife's room, treatment room, he asked some obligatory questions. He was very brief, and he was very distracted, and very quickly walked to the door, and while grabbing the doorknob, turned and asked my wife if she had any questions. Attend always to your patients. Remember, people come to you in trust to look out for your best interest. Remember, they're vulnerable. What may be routine for you is not routine for them. It's new to them, and they are probably a bit nervous. Treat the final patient you are seeing late Friday night when you want to go home as you would the first patient early Friday morning. You have a choice. Every one of you have a choice of the kind of therapist and healthcare professional you want to be. Knowledge and skills are imperative. That's obvious. But professionalism entails caring, listening, empathy, and mindfulness. Please embrace those qualities. Don't be a doorknob doctor. Good luck. You are part of the Emory University family now. You are alumni of one of the best institutions in the country. We are all proud of you. And remember, we are all here for you if you need us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Greenfield. Now we come to the part of the ceremony that I know you've been eagerly awaiting, and that is the presentation of the diplomas to our graduates. Now, a reminder of how the process will proceed. I will be assisted by colleagues Drs. Beth Davis, Marie Johansson, Peter Sprague, Ben Rogozinski, and Dr. Laura Zajac-Cox. Graduates, when your row is called by Dr. Davis, you will follow Dr. Zajac-Cox to line up in order on the right side of the stage. You will hand your card to Dr. Rogo, who will instruct you when to walk across the stage. Stop in the center of the stage where you'll be greeted by Dr. Johansson and Phillips, and hand your hood to Dr. Johansson. Once your hooding is complete, you will pick up your diploma cover and walk to the far end of the stage, where we'll have our professional photographer take a picture of you with your diploma. This photo will provide as a small gift from the program to you and your family, so your family can remain seated and enjoy the moment instead of having to rush up to take a picture. Then you may exit the stage left, where you see Dr. Sprague. Finally, and this is the hardest part, we request that the audience please hold your jubilation and applause until all the graduates have received their diplomas, so that every graduate and their families here and on the live stream can hear their names being called. As is our custom, we'll start and go in alphabetical order. Okay.
Will the first row of graduates please stand and come forward? Emily Adams. Lily On. Jessica Adi, graduating with highest honors, recipient of the Johnny Morgan Award, Excellence in Clinical Science. Alina Ayaz. Madison Beasley, recipient of the Frank S. Blanton Jr. Humanities and Rehabilitation Scholar Award and the Journal of Humanities and Rehabilitation Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Humanism Scholar Award. Sydney Bennett. Miranda Boyden. Landon Brock. Brooke Bradsman. Wellesley Brown, recipient of the Director's Award for Excellence in Growth Mindset. Stefano Campana. Perry Cherapich, recipient of the Francis A. Curtis Excellence in Community Service Award. Hannah Christensen, graduating with honors. Will the next row of graduates please rise and come forward? Meredith Copatillo. Alexis Coslow. Megan Coyle. Allison DaCosta. Tessa Evans. Brandon Ford, graduating with honors, recipient of the Pamela Catlin Award for Excellence in Critical Inquiry. Joshua Fournier, graduating with honors, recipient of the Excellence in Leadership Award and the Susan J. Herdman Award for Excellence in Clinical Practice. Raul Garcia, graduating with honors, recipient of the Johnny Morgan Award, Excellence in Clinical Science. Lily Leal Graff. Nadia Hassler. Maxwell G., recipient of the Ian H. Tobin Scholarship Award. Gabriel Jones, recipient of the Director's Award for Excellence in Growth Mindset. Hiroya Kosaki. Amanda Lawrence. Will the next row of graduates please rise and come forward? Nina Yado, graduating with highest honors, recipient of the Director's Award for Academic Excellence. Yao Hoi Lo, graduating with highest honors. Abby Malcolm, graduating with honors. Shannon Marsh, graduating with highest honors. Alexandra Maza. Daniel. Kylie Mink, graduating with highest honors, recipient of the Director's Award for Academic Excellence. Uche Monago, recipient of the Pamela Catlin Award for Excellence in Critical Inquiry and the Director's Award for Excellence in Growth Mindset. Tara Moore, graduating with highest honors. Olivia Mold. Alexandra Mintz. Madison Orton and Vision. Will the next row of graduates please rise and come forward? Tiffany Patch. Rahi Patel. Kristen Persaud. Sarah Prasuvath. Corey Prince. Brian Croppy, graduating with highest honors. Kaylee Rathbun, graduating with honors, recipient of the Director's Award for Academic Excellence. Renee Rockhold, recipient of the Ian H. Tobin Scholarship Award. Lydia Rotenberger, graduating with honors, recipient of the Francis A. Curtis Excellence in Community Service Award. Holland Spears, graduating with highest honors. Kayla Spencer, recipient of the Director's Award for Excellence in Growth Mindset. Maddie Strickland, graduating with honors, recipient of the Director's Award for Academic Excellence and the Susan J. Herdman Award for Excellence in Clinical Practice. Van Tran, will the next row of graduates please rise and come forward? Annie True, Aljosen Walker II. Lily Way, Madison Winter, graduating with highest honors, recipient of the Excellence in Service Award and the Johnny Morgan Award for Excellence in Clinical Science. Sharon Shu, Yan Shu, recipient of the Francis A. Curtis Excellence in Community Service Award. I am honored to be the first to congratulate the Emory DPT class of 2023.
So again, congratulations, doctors and colleagues. We're real excited for all of you, and we're proud to welcome you as colleagues into the profession. So the class of 2023 nominated one of their classmates, Dr. Alexis Koslow, to offer remarks on behalf of the class of 2023. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Alexis Koslow to the podium.
You guys got me all teared up after that. I gotta get myself together. Before I begin, I would like to thank the faculty and all of our guests for coming to celebrate this day with us. I know we're all very grateful that you could be here. And now to my fellow graduates, I would like to start with a slight change to Dr. Sharp's trademark greeting and simply say, hello, doctors. We made it! I'm so incredibly proud of all of us for making it to this day. We've faced so many adversities as a cohort, and we've been able to conquer every single one of them. When I say there is no better group of people capable of taking on the challenges for the last 3 years, I truly mean it. The relationships we have formed during our time here have allowed each of us to struggle, flourish, and grow together. This group of kind-hearted, devoted, powerful, and intelligent people we have sitting here today truly deserve the utmost praise for what they have accomplished. We have supported each other through the hard times, celebrated the good times, and shared many victories together. Our time here at Emory has been full of so many valuable experiences, it's difficult to summarize everything. We spent the last 3 years obtaining foundational knowledge about what it is to be a physical therapist. With that, I would like to try and highlight some of these valuable lessons that we've learned. As we began our journey as first years, we all remember what it was like to be in classes 8 hours a day. We learned a lot during this semester as it was full of basic principles needed to be a PT. Some of the more important lessons we learned was that the brachial plexus really does look like spaghetti noodles, and Professor Nichols' PowerPoints are not complete without spinning boxes. We also learned that "it depends" and "turn your cameras on" are the only 2 phrases that can cause 58 people to simultaneously roll their eyes. As we continued through the program, we entered our second year with the promise of long-term clinicals just a few semesters away. During this time, we learned what it was like to have a social life again, and that no matter how good our cardiovascular endurance is, the stairs to Lab 311 will always leave you out of breath. We were also blessed with our first motivational speech from Dr. Sprague, and this made us realize, no matter how much we deny it, we all secretly dream of being as cool as him. As we began our clinical experiences, we saw the love of caring for our patients resurface and finally began to feel like a true physical therapist. Maybe this had to do with the fact that we finally discovered what a consistent sleep schedule can do for a person. All jokes aside, this was the turning point within our time here. We applied the knowledge and wisdom we gained over the last year and showed ourselves, hey, we actually can do this. At last, we began our 3rd and final year. Returning from clinicals, there was a change in the atmosphere that surrounded our class. We left as students, and we came back as physical therapists, clinical instructors, residents, and clinical directors. We came back ready to dive deeper into our ever-nearing future as PTs. And this time, we learned that applying for jobs is exciting but simultaneously terrifying, and that boards is a 4-letter word. We also learned that we will all truly miss one another as we follow our new paths in life. The last 3 years have been such a unique experience, and I am truly honored to have been able to share it with such an amazing group of people. If I could describe the class of 2023 in one word, it would be resilient. We've been thrown every type of curveball one could think of, but it never stopped us from accomplishing our dreams. There's so much dedication and drive in this class, and I know everyone around us can see it as much as I do. I'm so excited to see the incredible things we do as physical therapists. Take pride in the fact that we all just graduated from Emory's Doctor of Physical Therapy program. Celebrate the victory that is today and know that we just freaking did that. As you all know, I love including a cheesy joke at the end of my emails in hopes to make your day just a little bit better. So with that, I would like to leave you with one final joke of the day. What did the physical therapist want to do after graduation? No clue, because in the wise words of a fellow graduate, we still have no idea what the freak is going on. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you again, Dr. Koslow. And now I'd like to welcome DPT faculty member Dr. Beth Davis to greet you on behalf of Emory's Alumni Association.
Distinguished Emory DPT graduates, as a proud Emory physical therapy alum, I have the privilege of formally welcoming you to the ranks of alumni of this great university and program. While your cherished status as students may have ended all too quickly, you each will bear the title of Emory PT alum for the rest of your lives. Today, you join a dynamic group of individuals more than 1,700 strong. Would everyone in the audience who is an alumnus of Emory University's physical therapy program, except today's graduates, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. You can be seated. And would the class of 2023 please stand to be recognized as Emory's newest alumni. Class of 2023, we hope that you, like your fellow alumni, will maintain ties to the Emory Physical Therapy Program, help build its future, and always feel at home here. As your colleagues, we know our program has imparted values as well as knowledge, and we look forward to witnessing the leadership you provide in the physical therapy profession. Wherever you go, you will always be a part of the Emory PT community and will take a little of Emory with you. As you make your mark in this world, stay in touch, stay involved, visit often, and please let us hear from you. We wish you well and offer our most sincere congratulations to each of you in the Emory DPT class of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. And before I invite Rabbi Jordan to offer the benediction, I would like to acknowledge one other faculty member, Dr. Steve Wolf. Dr. Wolf has been affiliated with Emory for over 50 years. He began his Emory journey in 1970 as a graduate student and has been here ever since. He, similar to Dr. Greenfield, is retiring at the end of this academic year. So I don't know if maybe I shouldn't have come because it seems I'm here and all of a sudden this is happening. So I'd just like to acknowledge the amazing contributions Dr. Wolf has made. He's an internationally recognized expert on post-stroke rehabilitation, and it would take me another 2 hours to list all his amazing accomplishments, national and international awards he has garnered. But I'd just like to mention some of the highlights of his career. His research has centered primarily on rehabilitation of patients following stroke and diseases associated with frailty. His research has ranged from the effect of Tai Chi exercise and subsequent falls among frail older adults, and 2 major national clinical trials named Extremity Constraint Induced Training Evaluation, EXCITE, and Interdisciplinary Comprehensive Arm Rehabilitation Evaluation, ICARE, for Stroke Initiative. The paper on the effects of Tai Chi exercise and subsequent falls among older adults was voted the Journal of American Geriatric Society Paper of the Decades for the 1990s. The EXCITE trial represents the first national randomized single-blind study to systematically test a neurorehabilitation therapy and represents a seminal accomplishment by a physical therapist scientist and his team of clinical scientists to bring rehabilitation intervention to a phase 3 clinical trial. Dr. Wolf introduced this concept, which has been revolutionary in the field of physical therapy and has significantly altered the treatment and prognosis for recovery of patients with stroke. The results from the EXCITE trial were published as a lead article in JAMA in 2006. This article spawned massive print and broadcast media coverage, and the entire field of constraint-induced therapy was rapidly translated into clinical practice throughout the world. In 2014, the EXCITE trial was chosen by an international jury as one of the 15 best clinical trials in physical therapy, spanning over 7 decades of research. His research has been widely published in over 306 refereed articles and 104 non-refereed articles. He has authored or co-authored 9 books that have become major pillars in the field of physical therapy and rehabilitation medicine. Dr. Wolf, I can't even comprehend this one. Dr. Wolf is a member of the Emory Millie Pub Club that honors and recognizes current Emory faculty who have published one or more individual papers throughout their careers that have each earned more than 1,000 citations. Such a paper is commonly considered a citation classic and represents high-impact scholarship. Additionally, he has delivered over 50 invited lectureships and keynote addresses around the world, received 82 research grants from various external resources, including the NIH. Dr. Wolf is the epitome of a distinguished faculty member. He is a world expert in physical therapy, a prolific, innovative researcher and leader who has made seminal contributions to physical therapy and patient care. He is a valued mentor to students and residents and faculty and a major contributor to the School of Medicine. His insight and expertise have shaped the continued evolution of Emory Doctor of Physical Therapy program and the practice of physical therapy across the world. When people think of physical therapy, they think of Emory and of Dr. Wolf. With all these accomplishments, though, one of the greatest aspects of Steve is, like he's a devoted Red Sox fan. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Wolf. Okay, so now we're getting close to the end here. I think it's important to take one last time to congratulate all our new doctors of physical therapy. So the last procedural note, after the benediction, please remain standing while the platform party recesses from the stage, followed by the faculty and then the graduates. All our guests may exit after that. We'd like to invite you to enjoy some light refreshments upstairs and outside, I believe. And graduates, please remember to assemble on the stairs outside so we can take a picture of you all together. So now please stand and join me in welcoming Rabbi Jordan Browning to offer the benediction closing this ceremony for the Doctor of Physical Therapy class of 2023.
When you're all that's standing in between people and light refreshments, you keep it short. But we've done it. We've heard the words of wisdom that were imparted. You've received your diplomas. I saw the cutest thing of my life when Vision, the dog, had that little hat on. And when the great teachers of my tradition came to a point where they were leaving learning from one another, they would offer these blessings and intentions. May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. May you be filled with hope for generations yet to be. May your heart guide you with insight. May your mouth speak words of wisdom. May your tongue be filled with praises. May your vision be straight before you. May your eyes shine with the light of learning, and may your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips express understanding. May your whole being rejoice in righteousness. May you run to hear the words of the timeless one. And let us all say, Amen. And congratulations to the class of 2023.